is the horse of famine. Now, has anybody ever been hungry to where you thought, I'm going to starve? I'm not going to live? I've been hungry, but I've never been so hungry where I thought that this is it. If I don't get a bite to eat, I'm going to die. You know? But there's countries that are starving to death in the world today. And you know, it's not a lack of food. In some countries like Sudan, some of those South African countries, they're starving to death. They're starving to death. We have sent food. Other countries have sent food. We have flown it in, and we've unloaded it or parachuted it out of an airplane down to them. But that country's army, which is a red horse, comes out and collects all the food and takes it and puts it in a warehouse. And if those poor people can get the money to come and buy it, they can have it. If they can't, them and their children starve to death. Now that's what the spirit of the black horse is doing in the world today. What do you think will happen if you're left behind and the black horse has a rider? Now I want you to notice one thing here. He said, hurt not the oil and the wine. Do you know, in that part of the country where this was written and where John the Revelator saw these things, there were two crops that did not need tillage. There was two crops that didn't have to be sown every year. The wheat, the barley, the corn, and everything had to be just like it is today. But there were two crops, and that was the fig tree and that was the vineyard that produced over and over. So he said, be careful and make sure you don't hurt the oil or the wine. The oil came from the fig trees and the wine came from the grapes. They can hoard that up and they can keep it, and there may be plenty of food, but no one will be able to get it because it will be guarded by the rider of the red horse. The black horse will be famine, and famine follows after wars. After World War II, after the First World War in Germany, we came home. We left them to starve. And we did not give them any assistance. We didn't do what the Bible says, love your enemy. We left them simply desolate in a desolate place. They starved to death. But after World War II, they were in the same condition. And the hate and the bitterness, partly from what we left, the state we left them in, and not only us, but other countries that were there, caused this to rise up in them. And that's why Hitler could get such a kingdom in his hands, is because he made the Volkswagen and built the Autobahn and showed them what things he could do, and they believed in him. But they were left hopeless. But there was a man, a General Marshall in the United States Army, said we can't let that happen again. And immediately after World War II was over, he caused and got together an approval of the Congress and everything, and it was called the Marshall Plan. And the Marshall Plan took food to Berlin and distributed it and airdropped it and everything else, and those people saw that the United States, after they'd been treated and their soldiers killed, and after they had killed Jews and everything else, they didn't realize they were blinded by what Hitler told them. They saw the goodness of the United States of America. And so Germany and the United States have been in alliance ever since against the whole world. See, that's a plan of God. The black horse failed in one. He succeeded once, but he failed. But he'll come again. He had no rider. That's why he failed. And so we fed Berlin, got them back on their feet, and they built that city. And I haven't been there, but they tell me it's so beautiful now and everything. And that's what God can do in the midst of a hard time. Now, just a little bit here, and I'll close. But the black horse, fear not, because we won't be here for any of this. But I'm saying, let's be sure that we're not here. I've preached to people on Sunday night that I don't even see anymore, that don't even talk about church, won't have anything to do with it. That used to stand and give a testimony. Some of them preach the gospel. And now they have nothing to do with God, and you can't talk to them. I never thought when I was preaching to them on those Sunday nights or Sunday morning that they would ever be in that condition. But you see, they were in a position to escape this and be free from it. But they forgot about God, went back to the pleasures of the world. And tonight, you can't get them in church. And I believe we could have a revival if you could find a sinner. Everybody's saved. It don't matter whether they go to church once a month, not at all. It doesn't matter if some worldly pleasure is going on when church is going. It doesn't matter. See, that's how it separates us. But believe me, that when the bride or the black horse comes and their children are simply starving to death since because war has left them barren, then they'll pray to a God, if they even know a God, and they'll cry out. But the cross will have dissipated as far as they're concerned. But the only way they'll be able to be saved. And when this day comes, there'll be food. There'll be plenty of it. But it will be stored up and it will be held and bound by the Antichrist. And the only way that you will be fed or can get to that food, even one olive, one grape, is to have the mark of the beast in your forehead and in your hand. Otherwise, you will not be fed. You'll have to either make a decision. You're going to die for Christ even though he's not here anymore. You'll die for the Christ that you heard about when you was in church a few years ago and you remembered him. But if people today won't serve Christ of their own free will, when they've got every opportunity in the world to serve God, they've got a church that's warm in the winter, cool in the summer, and it's got people that loves them and fellowship and songs to sing and glorious things. And if they won't, if they don't have time now, and they're too busy now, and they're too caught up in the world now, what makes us think that they will stand that test? There'll be very few of them that will do it because they will give in and take the mark of the beast so their families can be fed for a little while. Now that's the black horse. That's his position to take over. Hunger, hunger, hunger. And you get a song. But now we're suffering a greater hunger than that in the world today. We're suffering a greater hunger in Tollsboro, Kentucky. Go through Tollsboro tonight, and you probably won't find people don't have anything at all to eat. Some may not have much. Go to Maysville. And you ever notice, and I've noticed this, one time there was a shortage of coffee. One time there was a shortage of peanut butter. One time in the 1970s, you had to sit in the line at the gas station. Remember that? Because they told us that fossil fuel was running out. Now they got so much they don't know what to do with it. Can't hardly give it away.